Thank you very much. Good morning. I think it's afternoon now. Good afternoon, everyone. Uh, I'm Professor Lawale Oshinowo. I'm actually representing Professor Abel Idowu Olayinka. He had an urgent and important university assignment, and that is why he has asked me to represent him. He actually wished to be here, and he sent his greetings. I believe he's here in the spirit. So I will be making this presentation on his behalf. And the title of the presentation is Appraising the Governance Framework of the Mining Sector to Boost Nigerian Export Potentials. So what we are doing basically here is just to look at the existing framework and look at how this has positively or otherwise impacted the Nigerian sector, and look at side by side what what we have behind. So I would like to say that Nigeria is endowed with several commercial deposits of economic minerals. In fact, there are over 45 commercial viable minerals present in Nigeria. I can authoritatively say that almost everywhere underneath we have one resource that is very viable present. The resources are in different categories. We have energy minerals present, like coal, like lithium. We have metallic minerals like gold, lead, copper, tin, zinc, iron, just to mention a few. We have industrial minerals as well, like limestone and barite. I try to look at, check the whole country, state by state. I try to look at it alphabetically, and I realized that almost all the states, in fact not almost, all the states have one resource or the other that is very viable and has the capacity to turn around the country. And suffice to say that almost all parts of Nigeria can exist on their own based on the resources that we have been endowed with. Mineral deposits have been found in over 500 locations across the 36 states, including the Federal Capital Territory. Even in Lagos State, as we are here now, we have a lot of resources. We have bitumen and many other resources that are present. So there is no state that is barren or not viable. However, despite the endowment of Nigerian so despite the endowment of Nigerian mining sector, that is the non-oil sector, our mining industry contributes less than 1% to Nigerian GDP. I think this is not a good story to match with the endowment that we have. And this we can compare with countries like South Africa, Ghana, Botswana, which are doing quite well, with mining sector contributing over 10% to their GDP. Okay, I have a presentation slide, but it's okay, I will just go ahead. This has not been our story. In the 60s and in the 70s, Nigerian mining sectors was contributing up to 4 and 5% to the Nigerian GDP. But something happened somewhere in the mid 70s. Something happened, and due to political issues, of which civil war was major part, especially seeing the exit of a lot of expatriates that came to develop the mining sector then, and more importantly, the economic factor, which is actually based on the fact that crude oil was discovered in Oloibiri, in the current Nigerian state. Mining nosedived, and it has been very difficult to find its feet up to now. So the aim of this lecture is to outline essential reforms in Nigerian solid sector governance necessary to attract foreign direct investment that could help transit Nigeria from a raw ore exporter to global exporter of produce mining products, and as well as grow our GDP. And the goal is to turn geology into GDP. So let's look at global mining demand, which is a motivation actually. Lithium demand is projected to grow about 353%. That's 353%. It started slightly, but you know, with the demand for energy now, using it in powering electric cars and almost everything, solar, especially in our country, we can see that the demand is rising, and it is the current gold that everybody is looking for. Cobalt and nickel also, demand is projected to double or even triple over the next 2 decades. And the good news is that sub-Saharan Africa holds a substantial portion of some of these mineral resources, accounting for about 48.1% of global cobalt and critical minerals like lithium. The time to act is now. And this particular plenary underscores the essence of our gathering here. It is time to salvage the situation, because it holds a lot of potential actually to contribute to the GDP and also impact our economy positively. A lot of problems have also been associated with some of this with the nature and development of solid mineral in Nigeria. A lot of effort has been carried out. Successive administrations in Nigeria have made attempts to diversify economy away from crude oil, especially into mining and agriculture. These efforts have been laudable. They've made a lot, but what do we have? Let us look at our laws, the framework that we have on ground. That is, we are looking at the mining laws that are available, and we want to look at it, how it affects the success that has been recorded in mining. The Nigerian laws govern exploration, licensing, and royalties. The first one that was enacted in 2007 was the Nigerian Nigerian Minerals and Mining Act. It is principal legislation that regulates the exploration and exploitation of all solid minerals in the country, and defines the mineral eligibility, type of mineral titles, and social responsibilities of mining obligations. The second one was enacted in 2011. That is the Nigerian Minerals and Mining Regulations, that provides the details, procedure, and processes for applying for mineral licenses and resolving disputes. We have another one in 2024, that is the Nigerian Mining Value Chain Regulations, that establish a legal framework for processing of minerals, such as beneficiation and local value addition. Other laws or legislation that support mining are the Land Use Act of 1978, Environmental Impact Act, and the Foreign Exchange Act. Some of these have been overdue for even review over the years, like the Land Use Act of 1978 requires an upgrade. So let's look at this. The government also established several institutions, like the Nigerian mining institutions. So we have the Federal Ministry of Solid Minerals Development that is responsible for policy formulation, promoting sustainable development, and overseeing safety and private sector investment. We have the Mining Cadastral Office that is responsible for processing, granting, and administration of mining titles. We have the Mines Inspector Department that is tasked with regulating mining sites, enforcing statutory standard, and ensuring operational compliance. Then another one is also the Mine Environment Compliance Department that is responsible for ensuring that mining operations are adhere to all environmental protection laws and regulations. Other institutions is the Nigerian Geological Survey Agency that provides and maintains up-to-date geoscientific and geological data. They collect data and archive it and also give it out on request to would-be investors. Then we have the Nigerian Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, that's NETI, the body that is responsible for promoting transparency in revenue, due process, and accountability in the management of Nigerian oil and gas sector, and also including the mining revenues as well. A quick SWOT analysis of governance framework. We try to look at the strength as well as the weakness, the opportunities, as well as the task. So the strength actually shows that we have a lot of laws which can adequately manage the mining sector, like the 2007 Act, which guarantees that the ownership of all mining resources belongs to the Federation and provide clear legal backings for investors. We have the institution. Thank you. We have the institution also that separates, clearly separate activities. We have the investors' incentives that government has been giving. I think I will have to run up now. Weaknesses include overlapping jurisdiction. Many times we have the federal, the state, the local government, and also the community actually competing. And I remember very well when I started in the 90s as a pupil geophysicist, when we go then in Bayelsa and Rivers State, when we go out to carry out any study or so, we will be held. Our vehicle will be held by either the community. If we escape that, it will be the local government. If it is not that, it will be the state and all that. But so these are like weaknesses that needed to be addressed. Then we have the regulatory capacity as well. Opportunity that exists in the upstream processing of local and adding values as well. The threat is the insecurity that this can bring, banditry, illegal mining activities. And I want to say that because the government is not actually playing the needed role, the supervisory role as much as it's supposed to be, though the laws exist, but the implementation is just the issue. And that probably creates some of these challenges that we have. So we have some gaps, okay? Governance gaps that actually hurt mining. That is regulatory framework, illegal mining and smuggling, lack of value addition, data gaps, infrastructure deficit, and environmental, social, and governance due diligence. Because most of the countries now, some of these minerals, when exported, require licenses to ascertain that they have been legally acquired, as well as that it doesn't involve any criminal activities. But the issue in Nigeria is that we don't have such a licensing power. So, and I believe that if all these are addressed, it's actually going to help. Let's look at what is happening in the world. Global best practices, what gives results elsewhere.
We can have that conversation. We can
Okay.
engage on some of it. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prof. Thank you so much. Please let's put our hands together better for Prof. So we have very limited time. They just gave me paper that, instead of 1 hour, we have 30 minutes. So we're just going to run through the conversation. I want us to just have a conversation. Most of us had read through the very long, and thank you, Prof. Professor Olayinka had sent in his paper, and it was quite a dense paper. I unfortunately I didn't know anything about mining, but right now, in fact, I have to be honored with a membership of the mining institute, because I had to see through. Actually, when a prof is giving paper, it was very academic and all of that. So Professor Benga, let me start with you. Mining is on the exclusive legislative list, so states have no revenue from it, but they bear the impact. And one of the things that Prof's paper was not very clear about, and that I thought I could ask on this panel, was, do we empower states? Will that fix the issue? Or will that create more jurisdictional problems?
All right, thank you. I think it's and there is a lot of misconceptions around this. So we need to get it very, very clearly. States are not excluded from mining. Not even the local government. The federal government of Nigeria does not have a single license for mining. And that's the truth. Apart from maybe some of the companies that they've set up, like the Itakwe, Nigerian Iron Ore Mining Company. I think that's the only one that had even been somehow done for the PPP. So what the federal government actually, and like it is in many other jurisdictions, does is to serve as a kind of a clearinghouse. And that's the background.
But I think the act actually vests the control on the federal government, not on the states. That is what
I want to explain. There's a difference between control and ownership.
True.
Ownership of the mining industry belongs to the federation, not the federal government. And it's like a central licensing or coordinating agency. No, not agency. Concept. You have the mining cadastre office, like you have in many nations. The state governments mining is not even for governments. Mining is for the corporate world. Mining is capital. Mineral is money.
Absolutely.
And you need the private sector who brings in the money. So state governments are encouraged, like many of them are doing, to have what you call a special purpose vehicles. They have companies. They have state holding companies. So it's only the companies that can apply for licenses, not states, not local government entity. So they are encouraged to have as many licenses as possible through their holding company. I know so many states that have, in my own state, for example, Ekiti, that we can say, they have about 11 mining licenses being operated by their holding company.
So would you say it is a governance issue in terms of the framework?
No, it's a misunderstanding. I mean, it's like a misunderstanding of the concept. So what the government does is this: anybody who has a registered company and follows the law, you must be a company. You must be registered as a company, CAC and all that. Even if your state government doesn't recognize that you are Lagos State, come and take license. But you can have as many Lagos State can have as many companies and have licenses as much as possible. The essence is to take these things from away from bureaucracy and away from government control, even to what we call the mining sector, private entrepreneurship, because it's a marathon. No government can mine with budget. For example, for you to do gold exploration alone in about 4 or 5 licenses, you need over 10 billion naira. How much do they give to the Ministry of Mines and is it still development now as their annual budget? So the essence is that all these layers that we have been having is as a result of the misconception of the concept. And the law is clear. And in many successful jurisdictions, and you mentioned some GDs like Botswana, like Tanzania, where mining sector contributes not less than 10, 12%. This is how it operates. And mind you, and I'll round up with this, Nigeria had got it right before 1975. It was a governance somersault. It's not even the Civil War. It's a governance somersault that got when now they did indigenization decree. And then government says, I want to have 70% or 60%, I'm going to give only 40%. And those who really understood mining, they left and went away. They went away with their expertise. They went away with the intrigue. They went away with the cartel. And there was a knowledge gap. And that's what we're still battling with. Yeah. So we need to understand that concept. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I mean, that's just it. I mean, having people really understand, what the issues are. Ivana, let me come to you. From the paper and even what Prof presented now, the framework is very dense on paper. On paper, it's very dense. We have a lot, like you said, so much act, so much framework. We have the Mining Act. Even there's a part of Karma that looks into that, the SEC Code, NATI, and some of the CDAs as well. Yet, as he also mentioned, solid minerals, under 1% of GDP and about 0.4% of exports. So is the problem the rules or the enforcement?
Thank you very much, Ini. I hope you can hear me. Am I loud enough?
Yes.
Okay. So the paper is a very interesting one, and I think what it does is it paints a very familiar picture of the paradox that is Nigeria. We have extensive mineral deposits. We have, but we also have the extensive regulatory and institutional framework, but we're unable to convert our mineral endowment into productive economic activity. And I think the crux of the matter really is a story similar to the power sector, perhaps, is a story of a broken value chain. Because what we have is we have accountabilities fragmented across different pieces. So whether it's from the licensing, the mineral licensing, to production, to the environmental and community obligations, the role of state governments, to the sale to markets, also to export, and then to tax. It's all fragmented, and as long as you have that level of fragmentation in accountability, you're not going to be able to execute in a way that provides value to the government and also to the citizens on the ground. So this is something that needs to be looked at. It's not really about whether I think we have more than enough rules. The professor has outlined the rules and the government arrangements, but it's about that broken value chain. And I think the role of the ministry is critical because it's supposed to serve as a coordinating entity to coordinate all of these activities. But that seems to be a bit of a challenge. The other thing is that I think we need to also focus on outcomes, not just on activity. We know that we have some, I was reading the other day about the lithium processing plant set up in Nasarawa, and I think that's really exciting. But I don't know what's going on there. Are they taking up the deposits? What are they producing? Is it an intermediate product that is being exported? Or is there knowledge transfer happening in country? Is there new technology that's being utilized here? And is there reconciliation between the production, the export markets, tax, and all of those? So that interconnectedness across the system is lacking. And I think we need to see more collaboration. We need to see that accountability in place. And the role of the ministry is critical in ensuring that happens. So let me stop there.
Okay, great. Prof, let me come to you. Professor, I didn't get your name. Oshinowo, yes. So the Council for Nigerian Engineers and Geoscientists has remained unempowered. That's the word I wrote here. Unempowered for 35 years. What would you say is the binding constraint, and how do we fix it?
Thank you very much for that question.
Is it on? Is your mic on? Yeah.
The role of the council actually to manage the professionals and oversee, and play a kind of oversight function. But that has been a lot of problem, and I think part of it is because of the enforcement of these regulations that we have. very dense, like you rightly said, on paper, but the implementation is the challenge. And one thing that is also very germane about mining is that it's capital intensive.
Absolutely.
So the role, even when the council plays some roles, the effect is actually not quite visible, because government has to actually be willing. A lot is actually needed by the government to kickstart or reactivate the mining. Just like it was mentioned, that something happened in the 60s, and then everybody left. Now, government needs to be deliberate about it, to be intentional, to make sure that we probably encourage a lot of people to come back into it. And don't also forget that the lacuna created had actually brought in a lot of other people, the illegal miners, which are making some money, maybe, and this money not coming to the government purse, and some of them seems to actually be satisfied with that.
So would you say that there's a transparency issue as well, in terms of even the role that government plays in all of this?
I think government needs to do more to actually to be intentional about developing that sector.
That sector.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you, Prof. Bimpe, like I said, I'm a prof now in this business. When we look at the issues around boards and investors, the SEC code demands that the geologists, we should have geologists, we should have ESG experts on board, which caught my attention because I never hear anybody call me. But the curricula we're using is outdated. So what exactly are we looking at? Are we mandating competencies the market cannot supply? Because one of the things that I found out around frameworks in Nigeria is that we're very good at importing frameworks, but we do not know how to contextualize it to the Nigerian market. So we have this fantastic frameworks, whether it's the Code of Corporate Governance, whatever. We like all those frameworks. We see they work in this other markets, but we do not contextualize it to our market, bearing in mind the very wonderful and peculiar market that we have in Nigeria. So if you are saying geologists and ESG experts should be on board, how are we going to build those competencies?
Okay, thank you very much. Let me first and foremost introduce myself. My name is Bimpe Afolabi. I'm representing Ayo Salami. We are both colleagues and partners at KPMG in Nigeria here. So thank you, Dr. Eni, for that question. The first thing that you've said correctly is the fact that Nigeria has sufficient frameworks, laws. In fact, we have plethora of them, and that's where some of the governance issues starts from. Inconsistencies amongst these laws. But to speak directly to what you're saying, well, there's now a regulation that says we need this sort of expertise on our boards. Look at the people sitting down here. You're saying the Nigerians are not capable. So the reality, it's not in what has been written in the paper. It's looking for the right set of people. Now, when AI, and I'll give you an example, when AI was introduced across the globe, what happened? Quite a lot of Nigerians actually picked up the skills. So if you're going to look for expertise in ESG, technical competence, in mining, I would say that Nigerians, there are sufficient Nigerians that would sit on the right boards. But the issue is always in the implementation of policies. When we have this sort of regulations and we want to put in all our yes men on the boards, then that becomes a governance issue. That's really the issue for us. We are not looking for the competent individuals. We are not looking for the technical capabilities. We will look for people that suits our purpose. And Professor has said something which I actually find very, very interesting. I wasn't born in 1975, though, but to me, the limited time I've spent on Earth, I would say when we talk about this sector in particular, there's been too many flip-flops in terms of policies.
And some level of no clarity.
No clarity.
And transparency.
Exactly.
So you just know we have a mining sector. What exactly happens in this mining sector?
Who is
what are we
responsible for what?
exporting?
Exactly.
Who is, yeah, absolutely.
So there's so many agencies, there's so many inconsistencies, there are overlaps. So the question then is, who is monitoring? Who is enforcing? Who is ensuring that things work out the right way? And I think that's what has actually impacted this sector, particularly. When we look, I studied petroleum engineering from the University of Ibadan, actually, a couple of, 26 years ago now. But I would say that when I look, and I never practiced as a petroleum engineer, by the way, but when I look at that industry, it has gone through a whole lot. There's been an evolution. What should happen within the mining sector really should be the same. But it shouldn't take that long. It shouldn't take that long.
What would you say is the gap, if we look at it from a governance perspective? What would you say is the gap between what our governance delivers and what a serious DFI
We'll look out for.
Yes.
So it's mainly, it's not what's written on paper. Our standards, like you've said, are fantastic. They mirror the global standards and best practices. But it's in the implementation. What a DFI will look out for is what is the transparency? I think it was Ivana that mentioned that. Transparency, accountability. I want to invest. Professor has said it. This is not a sector that anybody can get into. There has to be lots of funding. So for somebody to come, an investor, to say, I want to invest, I need to see that you have the right infrastructure. You have the right architecture for me to actually bring in that loads of amount of money and then invest in it. So what a serious or a huge DFI would be looking out for is the implementation of these policies and the regulations you have. Who is monitoring? Who is controlling? What is the transparency? Who is accountable for what? And to ensure, like we said on boards, the question you initially asked me, who are those regulating? Who are those doing the activities, controlling the activities? It's very important that we get it right at that point.
Thank you very so much. Thank you. You see all my panelists, they are experts, eh? Experts. Professor Okunola. Aja Okuta. I think since I was born, and now I am getting old, Aja Okuta has been on this table. Aja Okuta has consumed public money for decades. What governance failure is keeping it alive on paper, but totally non-existent in reality?
Thank you. Before I go to Aja Okuta, just one, and I'm going to say something that is not palatable. We heap blames on government at all levels. But all of us in this hall, because we're mostly private people, we are part of the problem.
Okay.
We're seriously part of the problem. Thank you very much. I said before I go to Aja Okuta, I'm going to say something that may not be palatable. But please forgive me, so that when I'm out there, you will still shake me. We keep holding government at every level. And like you said, now I like that song. But the mining sector, all over the world, government plays only about 5% of the role. It is those of us who are in this room that we don't really, and I'm part of it, both within the industry and with the private and with government, I still teach at the University of Ibadan. But the main blame, like I've seen over the years, 42 years in practice, is that we don't understand this sector. The banks don't understand this sector. The banks will not fund, and I challenge any of the banks here.
But maybe it's also about the clarity. If you don't have a clarity, you don't want to go in there.
There is a lot of clarity, but we have not taken time to understand the clarity. I've just mentioned a misconception, one out of about 42 that we have identified. We need to understand the sector. We have a value chain From exploration to mining to the processing to the export. Which one do we understand? So we have to really get down to really say, look, how many times, and I'd like to say I'm challenging us, have the banks, the financial agencies, financial institutions taken time to say, let's even understand and let's have a seminar discussion around this. So we need to look, government will always all over the world, and even in Nigeria, in Africa, that's the problem, because I also am part of the African Union Commission, African Mineral Development Center, and that's the problem we have. So it is us. Government will not, there's no government in the world that provides the capital. It is us. And we have to take a deliberate action to really understand. Look, there are policies, there are frameworks and all that. But let me also tell you, there are safeguards. There's a mining cadastre office. There is now a transparency for licensing regimes. I can sit in my room now, in my office, and look at the system and go to the website, and I know which of the license areas are empty. And I know if I have good corporate governance system, go to the mining cadastre office. And if they do any wrong thing, I can take them to court. And many people have won. I've been part of that process. So we need to also understand this concept. Now, I'll go to Ajaokuta. Pardon me again. I think right from the beginning, we have got ourselves into a cul-de-sac. It's a complex situation. No matter what spin we put around it, it's complex. Now, is it going to succeed? I'm an optimist. But it will take a lot. And the reason is, I will just give 3 main reasons. It's not just about having a complex. You need the raw materials. Our iron ore is low grade. At best, we have 36% Fe2O3. When we finish beneficiation in Itakwe, gives us about 62%. The beneficiation plant in the Nigerian Iron Ore Mining Company in Itakwe is no more functional, and that's the truth. 2, we need other raw materials like the limestone. Every limestone deposit in Nigeria now is being used for cement. There's a big market for cement now. It's a big racket, quote. You can't, the barriers for you to enter in as an initial person is a lot of problem. Not to talk of now using the limestone that we want for Ajaokuta. And there are two methods that we are looking at. Is it the blast furnace or the direct reduction? Now they're looking at gas. Good. But again, let's be very careful. When we now want to bring in the gas from NNPC and all that, what method are we going to use? Now, we're going to use the coking coal. Are we going to start transporting? And let me also say this. Maybe we are also having this misconception. That Itakwe Warri rail line was not meant for civil transport. It was meant to carry the iron ore from Itakwe to Ajaokuta, process it, then get to Alaja. But there is a policy somersault around it. So how will it ever function? So what do we do? Because we look for problem. We need to also look for solutions. Let's descale Ajaokuta. It can still function, but not as a behemoth that we have.
We created it.
And that's the advisory. Let's start producing. Look, if you go to Ikorodu, Shagamu, all these are Indian brothers are busy producing steel from scraps. And so we can you see, Ajaokuta is a city. If you have been there, it's not just a factory. It's a city. It has, even for gas, the gas infrastructure alone is huge. The estate is huge. For power, it's huge. The estate, the building estate alone is huge. So we have a lot of things that we can do in Ajaokuta. So let's compartmentalize. Let's stop looking at it from the behemoth of with its 2% completion. That 2% completion will not be completed in 1,000 years. So we have to descale down. What can we do? There are so many aspects of the steel value chain that we can make profit on. And who are those to make it possible? Not government. Those of us here. Let's look at it. Let's look at opportunities. There are opportunities in Ajaokuta. And I've talked maybe with the the MD and all that. And of course, they are looking at it because they will confess to you themselves it's beyond them.
Yeah.
But it's not beyond us in this hall.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you so much, Prof. I think for me, it's a call to action. I guess it's something that CIOD and MOFI can begin to look at, to work with the ministries and the different agencies to let's have not a talk shop, a serious conversation where you're bringing arrowheads like Prof to sit in the room and we're really distilling, solutions and just where do we start from? What are the quick wins, at least, that we can begin? Ivana, I'll come to you, and then I think that we'll just take our last question because our time is almost on. So there's something around enforcement and artisanal, the English has run, artisanal mining. And one of the things I found out, when looking through the presentation and doing a bit of research was that mining marshals had 3,000 revoked titles. Are we criminalizing artisanal miners faster than we are formalizing them? Because we haven't formalized that sector, that space, but we have already created a law to criminalize it. Is that why? Because there seems to be a disconnect in that, and I think maybe, Prof, you can also just put a word to that as well.
Okay, I think they're two separate issues really, because I think that revoking dormant or non-compliant licenses is an important thing to do, because if we don't have that level of transparency, we're not going to be able to attract serious investors. But the issue around criminalizing artisanal miners, I think, is an important one, because ultimately they have a stake, they own part of the Commonwealth. One of the things we need to think about is, are we focusing more on revoking licenses than we are on ensuring that there are pathways into the formal economy for these artisanal miners? And formalization isn't about registration. It's really about whether these miners are able to convert into the formal economy, whether they have support, technical support, whether they get training on safety, for instance, whether they have access to technology, whether they have access to market. And in terms of our KPIs, it can't be about how many, I think the number you quoted sounds very impressive, but I think another KPI really is how many of these artisanal miners are being converted into the formal economy. And are we able also to report on their productivity? And how much impact is it having in the communities that they operate in? So the focus is not, let it not be like LASMA, right, where it's always about enforcement and criminalization, but it's also about how are we supporting these people to come into the formal economy, and how we're ensuring that, yes, how we're pushing out information, how we're building the system to support them, and how are we able to incentivize them? Because if it means that when they formalize, they get hit by fees and tax and all of that, then they're not going to come. But how do we provide support to them so that they can scale, so they can start small, but they can scale into larger enterprises? I think these are some things that we need to think about and provide support for them, because ultimately they then come to the tax bracket and the government benefits. There's more transparency in the sector, and that mine to market governance is critical.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I think for me, Prof, you will take that, answer that as well, and then also close with, so that we can also go around with Prof as well. One change tomorrow morning: better enforcement of existing law or new laws? And I want you to defend whichever one you stand on.
Well, thank you.
Artisanal miners, and then
let me
change.
Artisanal miners. First of all, let me say that those licenses that are being revoked, they are not really artisanal mining licenses. They are licenses. There are different categories.
Yeah.
You have the small-scale mining license, you have the exploration license, you have even the mining lease and all that. And they cut across. Those are those that are just speculators. And that's one problem in the industry. There are thousands of licenses that people just get and do nothing about it. I've been seeing cases where they are even trading the license in the streets of Dubai and Canada and all that. Yes, I have these, got the license for gold. Where is your report? There is no single geological report. But they just got those licenses and they are idle. So I think it's fair for them to say, if you don't use it, and there are specific times 3 years, 2 years, and all that. If you don't use it, then leave it and let somebody else come in.
Absolutely.
Then the issue of the artisanal mining, it's a problem in Africa. But the truth is this: we need to get away from this concept of artisanal mining if we really want to progress. Oh, they said, oh, it's only to alleviate poverty. But I've never seen how Africa has escaped using artisanal mining to alleviate poverty. We end up being poor more. Look at DRC, and sometimes I weep. DRC supplies 77% of world's cobalt. China comes in, they take it away. Mining in DRC is still about 80%. In Nigeria, we say artisanal mining is about 80%, but it's not even artisanal mining we are doing. Let me define an artisan. A carpenter, a mechanic, a bricklayer, and all that, they are artisans. But they go through training. I can't handle the engine of my car because I'm not even, so I have to call a Sarafa or a Rasak who went through 5 years apprenticeship under one man who first started telling him, go and buy food. Go and then get under the car. What is this nut? What is this both sides? They are trained. Mostly in Nigeria, and I tell people, 80% of it is scavenger mining, not artisanal. There is artisanal mining where you use sluice box, where you use little materials, and it's organized. But what we have is people come from Zamfara today, get to Elisha tomorrow, mine gold. After they have got about 10 meters, they can't go again. They move and they hear, oh, there's another new find in Ofiki, where they're now mining lithium. That's a craze now. Lithium and then spodumene. Everybody, they now go there. Then, so it's simply scavenging. So we need to understand the concept of artisanal mining. Oh, how do you organize? Do you organize people who are, I will use the word, have no base? They are in Ibadan today, they are in Elisha tomorrow, they are in Zamfara there next week. Then, when we even talk about the issue of mining cooperatives, and there have been a lot of studies, there have been a lot of efforts, but you cannot get people who are not in a place to form a cooperative. So the thing I will want us to look at is let serious people come into mining. Mining is a knowledge industry. As long if you put cakes on the ground carelessly, you know what's happening. Ants will get there. So definitely what these people are doing is that we have put our cakes on the ground unguided, and then ants are coming in. So we need to have serious conversations about good corporate mining. The laws are there. We need to take advantage of it and get people who are knowledgeable to make a sense out of it. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Please, let's put our hands together for Professor Shinowo. Enforce existing, please give him this mic, it is better. Enforce existing law or create new ones?
I think the problem rather with enforcement. We have enough laws. We have enough institutions. But enforcement is the issue. And I would also like to add this, that the return on investment of mining is actually, it takes a long time. It pays off later. So it involves a lot of capital investment at the start. In fact, a lot of people that are broke, that actually were able to break even, may not do that in 20 years. If it is going to be on a large scale that can actually move our country forward. But the truth is that we need to be deliberate about this. The reason is it has ability to create a lot of employment, it grow our GDP, and also a very strong foreign exchange earning facility for us. So we should, as a nation, go into it. There are some countries that today mining is their like number one. And they are intentionally investing in it. I know there are a lot of money around. I know that normally people put their money where they will put it today, and tomorrow they are cashing out. But if we are deliberate about this and grow our mining sector, the posterity will be, we will be happy for this.
Thank you so much, Professor Shinowo. Madam Vinkwe, new laws of enforce existing laws.
I think it's been well said by Professor. There's no need for us to enact new laws. The reality is we have enough.
Yeah.
And they've been actually standardized to best practices. Yes, there could be updates done often or enhancements, but in reality, we have enough. I think it's the enforcement, it's the implementation, it's the monitoring, it's putting in the right controls. And when we talk controls, really, an example is the artisanal miners that Professor has actually corrected us, that they are scavengers.
Yes, yeah.
The reality is that we need to have controls on how these people operate. And the main thing is they exist. So what are we going to do with them? We need to create some sort of platform or fora for them to organize in it. So it could be the cooperatives, it could be anything that would make them work. But we need to recognize the local nuances we have in this country with regards to this sector and ensure that there are appropriate controls, monitoring, the governance structures, everything that we've seen in other sectors as well. And gas also had to go through this. The banking sector had to go, the telecoms had to go through this. But we just need to take the lessons from those other sectors and ensure that we apply them into this mining sector. And then we'll get there in terms of revenues, and then we'll probably scale faster than those other sectors.
Excellent.
I mean, well said. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I would just like to say, Professor, that I do think that we have artisanal miners. If you call them scavengers, they have been made scavengers because of the system that exists. And that's why they move from one place to another in search of a livelihood. And I think we need to cater for them because these are people who live on the land. They know where the deposits are. They actually have insight and intelligence that the businesses can benefit from. We must look after them because they're part of the economy and it's their land. Thank you.
Okay, so I want to thank my panelists, Professor Shinowo, Professor Benga. Why is your name Benga Okunlola? Okay, they didn't get it right here. Benga Okunlola, Miss Ivana Osage, and Madam Binkwe Afolabi. Thank you so much. I think that we have been able to, give you the mining 101 that you need, to be interested in this space. I mean, I found it very interesting. It's something that I've never really thought about, but just reading through the paper and all of that, I thought that, it was something that was quite interesting and quite educative as well. Do we have time for any question? Just one question. Okay, Mr. Hassan.
Thank you very much. And like Dr. Ine said, we've gotten some insight about mining today. But there is one question that has been bothering my mind for a while. You can almost say there is a correlation between mining and insecurity in Nigeria today. There is a lot of talks about the fact that
one of our one question I find.
Some corporate miners, because artisanal miners are not our problems, are actually funding arms and ammunition to support insecurity within some of these communities. Question is, what kind of reform is in place or can be in place to regulate the corporate miners in such a way that there can be control in place to curb or reduce the spate of miners supporting arms and ammunition, creating unnecessary insecurity in the land? Thank you.
That's such an amazing question, because I think that it's one of the questions that, while we're discussing, kept coming up in my mind. And I think that you should address it very quickly. One of the other issues has been, so we see some of this has happened. I'm sure you remember what happened in Ibadan. Where there was this blowout and everything, and then the conversations went out, is illegal miners or they are corporate miners, and then like breeze, we covered it up again. And these are some of the issues: creating insecurity, creating problems within the communities.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'll be very brief. Mining is not the cause of insecurity in those rural areas, but this criminals and bandits took advantage of the lacuna in good corporate governance concerning mining to operate. I'll give an example of a company in Elisha, which I took some international people there 2 weeks ago, people from France, Germany, Shegilola
Yeah.
in Elisha. That's an example that we can have, we can make it in Nigeria. I mean, they've been mining and they made it public. It's not anything private disclosure. Every year they've been mining about 100,000 ounces of gold in the last 4 years. Gold is now hitting about almost $5,000 per ounce. So they are cashing in money. And just maybe a little correction, my dear Prof, not to discourage us. It doesn't have to take about 20 years. Shegilola started doing some serious exploration. It can take some time. Some can be 20, some can be 4, 5, 6 years. But they started doing some serious mining maybe about 4, 5, 6 years ago. And they got an EFC loan of about almost 78 million. They have crossed over for about the second year. They have paid back their whatever. Unfortunately, gold began to do well. They started with about $2,000, $5,000. So there are examples where we have good corporate governance and mining, and then there is not heard about any outburst of insecurity in that area. But what is happening and what can be done? Like here, the question is this. It still goes back to the enforcement of the rules. You have a mining inspectorate division. You have a mining environmental compliance division. You have a mining cadastre office division. They have to look, and then you have these mining marshals now. So, but I think the real problem is what he has also answered. The corporate, so-called corporate, some of the so-called corporate miners, and this is it. I'll reveal this to you. There is illegality covering up legality. The legality is that I got my license. Those guys over there, they all have licenses. It's covered by one license or the other. So they are covered legally. But what happens is that I come, and of course I've seen that I can't handle these guys. So you miners, you take 30%. I take 30%. Community takes 30%. And the community now negotiates with those guys who are going to harass them. We give you 20%. So I'm covered with my own 30%. You guys continue mining. Give me my 30%. You take the 30%. Community take 30%. And then whatever in between, you take that. After some time, those big guys, criminals, now take over everything. Yeah. So that is what is happening. So how do you cope this? Monitoring. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Please put your hands together for my panelists. I think that it's clearly said. We can have all the laws. We all can explain what good corporate governance is. But will we be able to practice it when it comes to sectors and spaces and industries like the mining space? I leave that question to you. And I hope that as we leave, these are some of the things that we'll be mulling about in our minds. So thank you so much to the organizers, and thank you to my panelists as well.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you will agree with me that it has been an outstandingly eclectic panel. Please put your hands together for them once again. May I invite at this juncture the president and chairman of ICSERN to also make their appreciations to our amazing panelists.
I think that applause can be better. We received a free masterclass in mining from just listening to the panel. I definitely am better informed about the sector. And as was said, this is a sector that should actually contribute a lot more to the GDP of the nation, but which hasn't been exploited in the manner that it should be. And so once again, let us applaud the panel for doing such an excellent job. And what I enjoyed most was the animated way in which this panel conversation took place. I can see they're taking pictures. Let me let them focus on the picture taking. All right, there you go. So thank you very much from the speaker Professor Abel Olainka, who was represented by Professor Oshinowo. Thank you very much, because that set the tone for the conversation. To Dr. Iniabimbola, my sister, who now triggered the conversation without even letting the panelists be seated comfortably. So they knew it was going to be quite an exciting session. Thank you, Professor Benga Okwonla, for your contributions, which also gave clarity to a lot of the areas in the sector. To Bimpe Afolabi, always a pleasure to see you, and thank you very much for your very articulate conversation. To my sister, Ms. Ivana Osagie. Please, once again, a round of applause for this panelist. And so, on behalf of the co-conveners, the IOD Center for Corporate Governance, ICSAN, the FRC, and MOFI, we want to present these plaques to you to thank you, to say thank you for your perspective, the perspectives shared, for your contributions, and for giving us a lot more insight into the sector. Once again, thank you very much.